Here's how I get the most out of Spider-Man's abilities. Alright, first thing I'd like to get into is the web cluster and punching. So obviously, as most of you know, when you have a web cluster applied and you punch, it does more damage. But there's so much more of these two abilities. So as you can see here, when I punch and then use a web cluster, it cancels that punch with a web cluster, but it actually applies the damage of the punch. Something to keep in mind is every third punch, you'll throw out a kick, so be careful not to mess up your animation cancel, like that. See, if you do it too early, it completely messes you up. Now, if for some reason they're standing completely still doing nothing, you can actually kill with just 3 punches and 2 web clusters. Like so. If you're having any trouble with this animation cancel, just come right here in the practice range. Keep doing this over and over, and eventually you'll get the timing down. Look how quick you can go. Don't do that. And finally, when to down slam. So, down slamming is such an important part to your kit. It's so easy to get out, and there's 2 ways you can do it. You can either double jump, like so, and it'll do a down slam, or right after you web swing, you'll get a down slam, like that. Something a lot of people don't know about is after you do an uppercut, it actually grants you another double jump, so you can extend your combo and do some crazy damage with that. Something very important to keep in mind with your down slam is it is much quicker to down slam out of a jump through a web swing or an uppercut than it is to do it off the ground. Alright, that's all the simple tips I got for the first 2. Let's move on to your get over here. So before we get into the get over here, I wanted to talk about how you could actually rebind the key. There's a secondary keybind for this ability that will allow you to use the get over here pull function and go to function separately. So if you go into your settings and go whatever you're using and switch the hero to Spider-Man, you will see when you scroll down, get over here targeting, leave that to whatever you want the go to be. And then scroll down even further and go to ability 1, get over here. Change that to whatever you want your pull to be. Now, if you look at the bottom right of my screen, you'll see the keybind for get over here is R. But if I apply a web cluster to an enemy, it'll be E. So doing this, you will never miss another get over here. When you're swinging in and you're going in real quick and you're like, oh, it disappeared. Oh, what do I do? Now I don't have a get over here for 8 seconds. Oh, I'm screwed. That will never happen again. You are guaranteed to get your get over here when you have a web cluster on, as long as you can see the prompt. You'll never miss it. And bind it to whatever you like. I personally think R is a great keybind for this, and I got used to it very quickly. I would say this is probably the most effective tool in Spider-Man's kit. There's so much you can do with it, and Hook has always been proven to be an insane thing in games. Look at Roadhog. But I wanted to give you guys a bit of information on when to use it, how to use it, just kind of expand your mind. So I don't always like to instantly go in with the get over here. I do sometimes, but it really depends. Do I have high ground above me? If I do, then I can just fall down, do this simple combo, and it one-shots if they don't heal or does a shit ton of damage. Sometimes I'll just go in with a web swing into an uppercut, and then I'll try to go back with a down slam or a web cluster, do some more damage. I don't like to always use my most effective tool instantly. Now that's just me, and this isn't every time. And there's a lot of times when you're 1v1ing or if you're going into a fight, it's better to use it first. This is more for opening or if you're playing kind of safe, you know, like you want to get their attention or maybe a kill if you're lucky, but you're not going for the kill exactly. And that's something really important Spider-Man can do. They can get so much of the healer's attention away from their team that even if you don't kill the healers, sometimes you get one of their teammates killed. Enough on that though, back to the get over here. So there's times where you can use the get over here as a defensive tool rather than an offensive tool. Say for example this Wolverine clip. Now I've done that many times. I wait until Wolverine's gonna dive and steal my teammate, and then I pull him right off. It gets Wolverine back into the back line, he has no dash, he dies most of the time, and my tank gets to live. Other times you can do it is when somebody on the other team is ulting. Say Doctor Strange, pull him away from the Eye of Agamotto. You have Tony Stark, where you can pull him out of the ult if you hear it. You have another Spider-Man, which while they're ulting, you can pull out many things. Scarlet Witch, the list goes on. Figure out what you can and can't pull, because that is very important. If you have a friend that can help you hop in practice range and go to a bunch of heroes for a minute, that's a quick way to learn it. Or you could just look it up. You'll figure it out pretty quick. There's times where I like to use it a bit more offensively and get a free pick on the tank, like this. or even fancier, like this.
We still can't capture your point.
Now, there's a lot of times where Spider-Man can be one of the most effective tank killers in the game. It just depends on the map and depends on the enemy's movement. Now, if it's a Doctor Strange and he has his shift, which is his cape, I don't know the name of the ability where it flies him up, you can actually know the timer on that cooldown, wait for him to use it, or you can pull him off the map, get him to use it, and then you get your pull before he gets that. So you can easily kill a Doctor Strange by pulling them off the map. And there's a few tanks that can't even save themselves when you do it. So look for areas on the map where there's gaps, where there's holes in the map, edges, wherever, and you can pull somebody off the map very easily. You can use your web swing to get a lot of momentum and then just pull them, do a web swing into an uppercut, then pull. So many different ways you can do it. And it ends up being incredibly effective. Imagine you're starting a team fight and they have a full health Magneto, and he just instantly gets pulled off the map. Now you have that whole team fight to go. Spider-Man still can go in and kill their healers, do whatever. How do they win? They don't. Most of the time. Most of the time. And lastly, canceling Doctor Strange's portal. At the start of the round, or whenever, I like to stay a bit aggressive and stay further out when I know Doctor Strange has his portal, so I can hear that comm that he's opening a portal. If the team's not expecting it, you can swing in and get the freest portal cancel of your life. Like this.
We also have hella ult.
I stopped that, I pulled him, I stopped that. Now I do that all the time and it's super effective. Completely derails the enemy team's plan and they just have to scramble and go for something now. Even better if it's an overtime and they only have a minute left, now they can't use the portal for the rest of that overtime. You made a big play. Next up is your uppercut. This will be a bit of a quick one, but I wanted to break down a few things. First off, how incredible it is to get ult charge using this ability. Say there's a group of enemies somewhere, you can swing in real quick, do your uppercut, swing out. That's great ult charge. It doesn't always have to be for an assassin pick when you're playing Spider-Man. You're very slow to build your ult normally, and doing this will help your team win more fights than usual. Now, as most of you know, you can use this to B-hop as well. If you go and you jump, and then you use it quickly, it'll give you your get over here very quickly as well, so you can hit those crazy pull clips. That's my biggest tip for that type of B-hop. As soon as you apply your web swing, use your uppercut as quick as possible, because you want your get over here as quick as possible. And you don't hit it every time. Next up is just knowing the timing on your cooldown. You get a refresh every 6 seconds, and then once you use an uppercut, you get another one in 2 seconds. These 2 seconds are important to keep in mind, because if you did a different combo than the web cluster into a get over here, you can get even more damage than usual. Here's a simple combo for you. Now, as you can see with that combo, I got my second uppercut back just in time for the finishing move. If they were at 300 or 275 health, that would be enough to kill them right there. Next up, let's talk about Spider-Man's ultimate. The biggest thing about this ultimate is trying to bait out important stun abilities. Two of the biggest being Luna or Mantis. If you can go in on them and bait these abilities out first before you use your ultimate by doing a simple combo or just getting them low health and going for the ultimate so you'll secure the kill, you'll have way more effective ults. And this ult doesn't have to be for the craziest kills every single time. Sometimes if I see a support way out of position, I will go in on them quickly and use my ultimate and try to force out their support ult. They'll use it so they can stay alive in the fight, but they have to spend a second or two running towards their team, and now their team has to scramble offensively to try to get a good team fight in. And then, as soon as the ultimate's over, I can try to secure a free kill on them. Or like I said, do it vice versa. Go in on them first, try to get them low, get some damage, try to do a combo on them, and bait the ultimate out before you use your ult. And try to get them to use their ult that way. Then you'll still have your ultimate, and you'll have a free kill on the support and whoever's near them on your next fight. Next, I wanted to talk about your team up. I love having a Venom on my team. It makes my job a lot easier. It's not necessary, but it just makes everything a lot easier. Something to note about your team up, if you're going in for a normal combo, enemies with 250 health only require 1 web cluster. Enemies with 275 require 2 web clusters. And enemies with 300 health would require 3 web clusters. Now, this is if they're getting no healing and you're only using your web clusters. There's many more abilities and ways you can get a kill with your team up without just using a web cluster into that simple combo. I can't show you every combo, but here's a simple and effective one I like to use on enemies with more than 250 health. Now, if that was an enemy with 275 health, I wouldn't even need the team up.
And stay down.
So keep that combo in mind. I love to use it and it's very effective. Another thing this team up is very good for is zoning. It doesn't have to be just for killing. Say you're on 99% and you're fighting for the overtime and somebody's running towards it and you're trying to keep them off, use your team up. Look how far that knocks them back, and if they try to run back in, it'll just keep knocking them back further. Another very important tip with the Venom team up is obviously you'll have a Venom on your team. So if you sync up your dives with a simple 3-2-1 or call out who you want to go on and win, you'll get way more kills than usual. This doesn't even have to be for a Venom. If you have another dive or if you're just playing with a friend, call out who you're going to go for. They can help you fight them, and if the enemy gets healed, you'll have enough extra damage to get that kill. It's very important to communicate with your teammates as Spider-Man. Say you're calling out you want to go and get a support all out, or if you got a pick and you want to let your teammates know, or if you're going in on a healer, or if you're going in on Tony, whatever you need to do, call it out. Be vocal. Say what you're going to do, when you're going to do it. Try to sync up fights. It'll help you way more than you think. You don't always have to be the silent guy going in on the back line. Spider-Man's the most vocal character there is when it comes to fighting, so be like Spider-Man. Talk. Say what you're going to do. And lastly, with the Venom team up, occasionally it can be useful to keep yourself alive. You become this big mass, and it's kind of hard for people to know where to shoot if you're jumping around, moving around. So if you're trying to get back to point, you don't have a web swing, you don't have an uppercut, pop one of these, jump back and forth, you might survive. I have many times. So I'll break down the passives last, but the next ability we're going to talk about is your web swing. This one's pretty straightforward, and that's why I left it to last. In my 3 tips video, I talked about how camera work is one of the most important things with web swinging, and that remains true.
Watch out, they're headed our way.
See the difference in how I move my camera between those 2 clips? There's a lot you can do with it, so go around, practice your web swing, know when to use it. Another very important tip to keep in mind is knowing your surroundings. Most maps I play on now, I know where the walls are, I know where I can look up and swing, I know when I should B-hop if there's like a small area, stuff like that. So just try to learn the maps and look around you. Try to know where the walls and things are around you. Knowing your surroundings is big for survivability. You can keep your deaths really low if you know quickly where to swing and when to get out. Say here, I'm fighting towards the enemies and I don't want to swing towards them because I'm low. If I didn't know there's a wall behind me, I wouldn't be able to quickly flick up and swing away. But since I know what's behind me, I can quickly jump up, swing away, and I'm perfectly safe. Now, for my final tip, I'm going to be talking about the wall crawling. I'm not going to break down the spider sense, as to be honest, I don't fully understand it myself. I know it pings when enemies are near you, and sometimes it's helpful if you're not listening too closely. You'll get a ping if somebody's nearby. But let's talk about wall crawling. A big tip I have is when you're jumping around near a wall, try not to activate your wall crawl, especially if you're running away. I've done this too many times, and it's a very simple mistake that can get you killed. But knowing when to wall crawl during a fight is really important. If I'm in a close area or if somebody's chasing me, I'll get on the wall real quick and start running, get to a safe area. Or if there's a corridor and somebody's running past, go above them. Gamers don't look up. It's also very helpful for dodging. If you have to get on a wall real quick and run because you don't have a web swing, you can usually escape. And lastly, my favorite part about wall crawling is knowing good hiding spots where you can jump the enemy quickly. I have so many clips where I start a fight off by waiting on a wall near enemy spawn and waiting for the target I want to walk by. Then I quickly jump down and do whatever combo I need to do, and it gets me a kill very often. So if you're feeling brave, start off a fight by sticking to a wall and waiting for a healer or a target you want to kill to walk by. Then jump in, get the kill, and be congratulated by your team for being the best Spider-Man there is. And that's gonna be all. If I left anything out, be sure to let me know in the comments. I'm willing to make more videos like this. I'd like to make a video just in general on rank tips and how to improve as a player on Marvel Rivals, so look out for that. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and I really hope this helps you in your games. Good luck!